Do Christians worship the Celtic devil, Samhain, because of Halloween? Yes, they do. And I will demonstrate that. As well as answer this gentleman's response, where he's saying that, well, in Turkey, they still have festivals to Baal, but that might go over some of your head. Well, what goes over your head is the fact that Baal does not exist, nor does the devil. Neither one of them exist in the framework to which you are speaking of. And as far as them celebrating a festival in Turkey towards Baal, I have not seen any evidence of that, but hell, there are festivals that you don't even know where they came from. So let's talk about Halloween. Halloween comes from the Celtic celebration at the ending of summer and going into winter. Winter was often seen as something deadly because many people didn't survive the winter. So if you could survive the winter, you must be blessed. But Samhain, the negative god of the Celtic pantheon, during this time frame on October 31st, which this festival would begin, the veil between the living and the dead was at its thinnest moment. And so because of that, people would dress up in costumes so that way the ghosts wouldn't recognize them as the living and take them into the hellscape of death. But they also would light bonfires to help those who had died be able to find a way into the afterlife. As well as they would think that during that time frame that if they have done well enough, if they've saved up enough, that they will be able to make it through winter. Now, the idea of trick-or-treating comes much later. In order to get to trick-or-treating, we've got to go through a couple other things first. The first thing about trick-or-treating is that in the Middle Ages, when it first started, it wasn't trick-or-treating. It was poor people who went to beg from rich people for food to be able to hold themselves over through the winter. This was called souling. It was not called trick-or-treating. It wasn't until the Great Depression, when on this day, that violence was occurring quite often in people's lives because it's going into winter and people are thinking about surviving the winter, that communities started to organize trick-or-treats, where they started giving away food on that day, on Halloween, in order for those people to not violently go and take food during the Great Depression, and then it became a festival for children after the Great Depression had ended. Now, how do these things all correlate? Well, they all correlate because when the Romans conquered the Celtic people, they then incorporated this worship of Samhain into their own Day of the Dead type of religion called Panora. I'm saying it wrong, but Panora is something like that. Into their own festivals, and this was a Day of the Dead type of celebration as well. And so when the Roman Catholic Church, the Christian Church took over, when the Romans took over Christianity, they took this day and incorporated it into their own celebrations, although they placed it on November 1st, the day after, and called it All Saints Day. It was a day to recognize all the dead saints who had went away that the Catholic people believed that they should be able to pray to, because this is the patron saint of this and this is the patron saint of that. And so All Saints Day became part of the Christian religion. Now, after the Protestant Reformation, you saw many Protestant churches start to eliminate this All Saints Day, right? And that's a good thing. And for a while, they didn't participate in it. But how America's, that capitalism got to capitalize. And through American capitalism after the Great Depression, many Christians went back to trick-or-treating on the 31st. They started participating in the holiday of Samhain. But of course, in more modern time, you have churches who try to skirt the issue. So what do? They have fall festival. What was the Celtic religion first reason for having this Samhain, this October 31st? It was moving from the summer to the winter, a fall festival. And what do? Instead of having trick or treat, they have trunk or treat, where you still just come and get treats out of the trunks of people's cars, and they try to have it like on this Saturday, so that it is not on it's not on the 31st, as if that makes a difference because you changed the date. So yes, for all you Christians out there who are participating in your trunk or treats, who are having your fall festivals, or you're going to fall festivals, you are participating in the Celtic worship of the demon god Samhain. But at the end of the day, none of these guys exist. So have fun. Happy Halloween. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.